Today's cut, I would be demonstrating a mid-drop taper fade. Here I'm just prepping the canvas, making sure I get all those loose hairs out of the way. Now combing everything in a direction that is growing, making sure I'm keeping the natural growth direction of his hair in the detachable blade position. Now going in with the triple aught blade, just trying to find where I want my taper to begin at and cleaning everything up to it before setting in the harsh guide. And since the taper is going to be a mid-drop taper, I am going to set it in kind of at a slant towards kind of like a certain area of this haircut. You'll see it in a second. But here just making sure I get the guide as neat as possible and keep it even before actually cutting into it at all. And here just cleaning it up some more, making sure I keep enough transition in between it for whenever I go in with my trimmers. And now just making sure I follow the same guide that I just set. Once I actually get the blade directed in the area, then that's wherever I'm able to get the concept of the drop fade. Now cleaning everything up, just because this is less stress on my trimmers whenever I do go to make it as close as possible. And since it is the triple aught blade, I'm not gonna be going in with the shavers or anything. I'm just gonna make sure whenever I do go in with my trimmers, I get it as close as possible, but take off just enough at a time. In this process, you do want to make sure you kind of clean up into it a little bit, just because it is the base of your taper. So you kind of want to clean up into it just a little bit, just because you have to make sure that whenever you're cutting it, you aren't setting such a harsh guide for your clippers whenever you do go to take the taper portion. Again, this is the one comb. Yeah, knocking everything down with the one comb. Just because you do have to make sure with the transition you have it laid to a certain length. I mean, you still can just use the blades, but me personally, I feel like his length would have fit better whenever his hair is actually just laying there. And then I did go in with the blades on this cut after using the one comb, but I don't know. I accidentally deleted the footage. So now I'm going in with the one comb all the way closed, just setting in the transition I'm going to be having before going in with the blade portion of this haircut. So this second step is all in the same process, making sure that I knock everything down with the one comb at whatever length is best. And once I knock everything down, then come in and clean it up and taper into what I just did. And since his hair does have a wavy pattern, I do have to go in with the natural growth pattern of his head shape, or like the natural direction his hair does grow in. Just now, because it does curl in a certain section, and since I did prep it before, I was able to actually notice where I needed to go in with the one comb all the way open. And since I am going in with it all the way open, I do have to make sure I'm not flicking into it to set a harsh guide. I'm just kind of flicking off of it a little bit. And then once I do get that portion going, with it all the way open now, the one comb actually does do a good job of transitioning into the actual growth of this transition of long to taper. Now going in with my trimmers, cleaning everything up that I actually knocked down with the triple I earlier. And since it is pretty sharp, I don't want to go into his jaw area too much with these specific trimmers. I am gonna go in later on and clean that up. But here, just making sure I get everything as close as possible. And I am gonna leave a little space in between where I am gonna begin my trim. I mean my taper, just because whenever I'm going in for the taper, I don't want to set such a harsh guide for my clippers still. And I do have to make sure that while I'm going in with the trimmers now, I'm going in as I would with just using the shavers. So here, just cleaning up everything. As you can see, the transition between it does make a big difference. And then later on, I am going to be cleaning up this guy with the other trimmers I have, just because whenever you do use the sharper ones, it does make it kind of harder later on for you to actually go in and clean it up. Now for the next step of this haircut, the fourth step, almost there. Now going in with the blade closed, I will be making sure I clean up just underneath where I set in the guide for the triple R blade. And since this is gonna be the just about last portion of this haircut, this is whenever I'm making sure I get everything done with just using the trimmer blades. I mean the clipper blades. This is what the taper looked like after I did the transition from close to open. Now going in for the edge up portion, the fifth and final portion of this haircut. This is going to be the prepping portion, making sure that whenever I'm prepping this edge up, as you can see, as I did on the right portion of this edge up, the left, just making sure I go in with the topaz blade open. I do prefer using those, just because whenever you go in with the blade all the way open, it does keep enough of the length of the edge up. And just as well as whenever I went in with my taper, that's exactly what I went in and did the rest of the taper with from there. Now making sure I put the holding spray on there, just because whenever you're using it, it does lock in the hairs and help it lay down a little bit better. You still have to prep it and make sure you get everything laid down as much as possible, just until it dries. As you can see, I'm just brushing it in. Now I have to make sure I go in and knock a little more down, just so I can get it as even as possible. And since it is curling, I can knock it down a little bit and then help it lay down some more. Now I'm just gonna lock in this look, making sure to analyze the edge up. And as you can see, it does dip in the middle, so I don't want to go into it too much, but I do want to make sure I get it as symmetrical as possible on both ends of his edge up. So you see that I'm looking at it a little bit, then I'm going into it. I'm not going to set any harsh guides on this edge up at the moment, just because I am going to go in and enhance it later on. So I'm not going to set any harsh guides in at the beginning, and I'm making sure I keep it as symmetrical as I can get it for the moment, just until I can actually go in and make it as sharp as possible. I mean, you'll still see how it looks though at the end. Now I'm just making sure it's symmetrical. I mean, for the most part, it is symmetrical, but I don't want to tug in too much with my trimmers just because it is harsh, and I am going to be going in again to make it symmetrical or closer. And here I'm cleaning up into the area that I left alone earlier. These trimmers aren't as sharp as my last trimmer, so then I'm able to go into that taper a little bit better. As you can see there, it looks flawless. This is the edge up before enhancing. So this is the edge up with enhancements now. As you can see, it does make a difference. I just locked in those areas a little bit better, and the taper transition into it, I mean, it looks pretty nice. The enhancing isn't for the sake of trying to fix anything. Most definitely, more so for the sake of just making it look a little better. At the end of the day, just a little more hands. He does go to school, stuff like that. So just making sure I clean it up some. And locking this in with these trimmers, making it as sharp as possible, does make a difference. And now I'm just cleaning up everything else that I see, like anything along the way that I didn't get earlier. Just going in and making sure I get all that together. But this is the cut, the final cut. Here's the before, and this is the after. And this is a 5-step taper fade.